Hey everybody, welcome back. It's business, and I have this thing for the German battleships, especially the ones that nobody else seems to like. I they just kind of work for me. I don't know, and I consistently get dispersion. Well, I mean, more consistently, get dispersion with these ships that I everybody else just complains about. Like, as far as the Gneisenau. This ship is shit upon constantly for the horrible dispersion it has. A part of that is simply because of the fact that it only has 6 shells to throw, so the dispersion's always going to look bad. If it's not perfect, then it's going to be bad. Now this, for instance, is utterly perfect from the fronts. Look at that. I can't ask for anything better, and I'm not running the dispersion module at all. I don't run them, actually, on anything other than the Friedrich and also the Kurfürst. But I also, this is my alternate account, and this was one of the last games that I played with the Friedrich on that, before I got the Kurfürst. And I did that in less than 300 games, and I'm actually going to detail that in the next Ships and Giggles, where you could probably do it in 200 or less. Look at that. Oh my god. For the Friedrich, for instance, and now actually the Kurfürst, but especially with the Friedrich, I had been running this particular setup with the reload module, the accuracy module, and also the 406mm guns, and it is fucking nasty. Absolutely nasty against cruisers. And you get close against, other battleships, and you have a 24.6 or 24.8 second reload by default before adrenaline rush kicks in, and you already have a sub 40 second turret traverse. That's insane. Until the Tirpitz had that secondary buff, in my opinion, the Friedrich was by far the best brawling battleship in the game. So that's why we're going to talk about the Scharnhorst, because this ship is, I would say, the most fun ship to play in the game. I don't even think there's any question that this is less situational than the other quote-unquote fun ships that people talk about, like, say, I don't know, the Dursky, that sort of thing, the Minikaze, so on and so forth. There's a lot of ships that people like to call out as being real fun to play. This is always fun to play because you have shit dispersion on an average, but you have a fast enough reload to be able to just keep going with it. And the shells don't hit hard. They're only 283mm, so you're really at the low end of the scale for dishing out damage. But this match is, how to put this, this made me question my priorities in life. So as you can see, I decided to come over here towards A, where there was nobody. I got all the way up to firing against that Cleveland initially, and up to that point I hadn't been spotted yet. It was crazy. Everybody had moved over to the other side of the map. So I'm trying to initiate something here. This match has, I actually think it has the most amount of lead changes and ties and things like that I've ever experienced in the game. And it only gets more crazy and dramatic. So I know this Nagata is going to be dumping a salvo at me, but yeah, that was painful. The main thing was I wanted to throw these torps out there and make sure that either A, the Hood is going to take the torps, or B, he's going to get so close to me that he's going to negate a lot of his armor if he pulls broadside, or in that case, like where he's at right now, he's beached. I am very much of the mindset that torpedoes don't have to hit to have an impact, and control is so much more important on an average than dishing out the damage, especially if you have teammates around you and stuff. And it actually turns out that as we hit the Miyoko for another Citadel, that torp right there that's going in is in fact going to take out the Hood. So that worked out pretty well, and gave me the opportunity to engage the Miyoko and do some effective damage that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to if I had steamed right through, and gone south into the cap like where I'm currently at. So So yay for the beaching on my part, and also yay for the beaching there and all that stuff. Estuary is a great map, by the way. I really wish more maps were like this. A lot of opportunities to surprise people with shots and, make them pay. Maybe not in the ship, and especially not in the ship against a Dunkirk, because Jesus Christ, I've never been able to do well with these guns against the side of a Dunkirk. Yeah, disappointing. So we're down on ships, and we just got a kill there, finished off the Dunkirk. But as usual in this game, it's more about the what could have happened type of scenario. Like, if those guys had stayed alive for another minute, if this guy up there hadn't been, and that was a terrible shot. I always misjudge the speed of the Atlanta, and especially at range. But, what if that guy that's up in the top left of the map there, what if he was over here helping us secure these kills even faster against these ships as the Graf Spee goes ahead to the beach, and he disappears, gonna throw the other two turrets against the Cleveland here. Also, if you notice behind me, the only other two ships on the team, they're right behind me. I'm gonna try to stay away from the Cleveland and the Nagado's guns here, and he's right behind the York, but want to get some shots in against the York, get a good little citadel, yeah. But my other teammates here have almost no health, and they're throwing themselves into danger. At this point, we could probably get something done if they were a little further back. Ah, Jesus, that's the worst. I hate hearing that. 5v1. Or, well, 1v5. Let's see what happens. If they had kited away, made it a little bit more difficult for the enemy team to get those kills on them, maybe this would have turned out different. Now, a lot of things are going to happen here pretty quickly, and I'm going to make some mistakes. So bear with me. I'm going to explain them, and I know what they are, and it's going to be harsh. So, Nagado point blank. I got to get the torps off. I should have only fired one turret here instead of all three, so I could further engage the Cleveland, but we managed to get that cruiser down, get only 2 torps into the side of the Nagado as we bring our secondaries around to the Nagado and our main battery as well. The Cleveland is trying to skirt around to the outside and get around to my my weaker starboard side, but that's also where I have my torps. So there's the torps from that cruiser that we already killed, but that right there is a huge mistake. I am in no way under any threat to launch those torps as early as I did. I knew the guy was going to be turning in, and I still launched him too early. So what does that mean? I've got to fire now, and I can't seem to hit this guy's citadel, regardless of how low I aim, and we're just keeping this in the free cam here because it's point blank. We don't need to, try to do some surgical precision. But 2 fires and a huge change in the flow of the fight here, because I didn't save my torps and use them when it was guaranteed that I could kill him. There was just no threat there. I had no reason whatsoever to engage him in that manner. So, here's the thing though. There's a New York and an Atlanta. You see where they're last spotted on the minimap, top left? Well, they're going down to sea, right? I'm certain it's the Atlanta here at sea, so I launched my plane to get to trigger his AA, to find out exactly where he is. The thing is, I need to also know where the New York is, and my expectation here is that they're together. So there we go, we see him, and unfortunately, they're nowhere near each other. This would be a very, very different engagement if the New York was not spotted here and in fact he was down at sea, because in that respect I'd be able to engage both of them at the same time as opposed to trying to just get one. So the New York has terrible armor all over the ship, and even the smaller guns of the Scharnhorst here can do some significant damage to it frontally or really from any other angle. So get the torps off, and this I led him just a little bit, expecting him to go out to the right, but only 1 torp hits. Look at the time, look at the points. There's just not enough time. And if If I was able to engage the Atlanta, maybe this would have been different, and maybe I would have been able to get my first solo warrior to like if I killed the New York there, we definitely would have won. The points would have swapped enough, especially with the time. Well, actually, maybe. I think it would have worked out, but I would have finally achieved my first solo warrior, and that was heartbreaking as shit. And that was off stream, and that was July 22nd is when I recorded that. It's not easy seeing a match like that, and especially, you know, a while later and looking at it and being like, just a couple mistakes here. If I turned left out of the decap instead of right, going through the channel, maybe that would have done something. Maybe I could have gotten the Atlanta, but then I don't think the points differential would have been enough to secure a win there. But what could have happened was that I obviously would have been able to secure the cap, and we would have been at least gaining points at the same level. So maybe that would have been enough. But look at this cruiser city here. This is crazy. This is another match much more recently, October 31st. So yay, Halloween. Taking pot shots at everything that I could shoot at here, trying to get as much damage in against these cruisers as possible, especially when they're all bunched up like this. It's the best thing you can do, because there's that Miyoko that we were picking on, and that Pensacola's gonna beach, it looks like, but aiming for the Miyoko. And there we go. Yay, double Citadel. Secondary's working on the Algerie, but check this out. The Miyoko we just killed actually saves the life of the Pensacola. God damn it. What are the chances of that? So Ganai's now is pushing up the flank here, and we've got a King George V who's still AFK, naturally. And that might... You'll see how much of a difference that can make here. And now he's actually... I think this is around the time that he starts actually waking up, and he said in the chat at some point that took him like a minute and a half, 2 minutes to load in or something. I don't know, and beats me. But anyways, trying to take a pot shot here at the Pensacola. We check our torque tubes to see how he's accelerating, and that's just bad dispersion. That was a good shot, just bad dispersion. Take another salvo against the Ganaiza now. The Farragut at this point, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. I have no idea why he's choosing to go up there, but he's wasting a massive amount of time. And my goal here with cutting back and going into A is because I knew this guy was going to be separated from his teammates, and that's what I wanted to pull, see if we could exploit this and try to make up this giant deficit that we're in. Remember what I said about the New York? Terrible armor. Terrible, terrible armor. 283mm guns just blasting through, and a lot of shell pens and Citadel, so that was nice. Have our secondaries working on the New York. We throw our torps against him, take a look at the Ganai's now in his position. He doesn't seem to be staying there to try to dish some damage to my backside, so we throw our shells against the Pensacola, get a nice 2 Citadel salvo there, and the torps find their mark on the New York for a good old classic double strike. Beautiful. So we're at 120,000 damage. We're still down by 300 points. Now it's time to engage the Ganaiza now, who's engaging the King George instead of me. This guy, I could tell he's new, you know, or just not very experienced. So I still have to be very concerned about his torpedoes, though. That's something you can never take for granted when it comes to engaging the Scharnhorst, the Gneisenau, the Tirpitz. Gotta always anticipate those torps. So looks like he's really close to that island there, and then there's the destroyer, the Gaiety, that shows up. That's going to be a big problem. So the torps are way off for his torps against us, but ours luckily find the mark. Unfortunately, we didn't get the all 3 torps on him, so we take some additional damage there as he survives a little longer. Unfortunately, the King George finds all of the torps and suffers greatly from that. So we get A captured, and you know, that probably could have been captured earlier if the Farragut had been further up. I mean, that could have accelerated that timetable considerably. But now it's just me and the Farragut versus a Nelson, the Gaiety, and a Gneisenau. that is at full health, but it is stock. So you'll see that in a moment. I wish I had that salvo back, but more importantly, I wish I had that salvo back. So now we have our destroyer capturing C here, and I'm jumping in on it just to, I don't know, anything to help, and get a little closer to these guys, see if I can throw my secondaries or my main battery shells against them. We take shots here at the Nelson, and we've got a few seconds left there, and we don't really have capture points anyways, so whatever. We end up getting C. Now it's 3 caps to 1, and the Torps end up missing on, or well, they end up running out against me from the Gatey. So at this point, I'm trying to point out that no matter what, we're not going to win unless we find that destroyer. And whatever happens, the Farragut has to kill him now. It has to happen now, because the longer he waits, the closer that Nelson gets, the more shots he's going to get in against the Farragut. It's absolutely brutally crucial that the Farragut kills the Gatey. So again, take shots at the Nelson. I get very little to show for it. Get my secondaries rolling on him. See about engaging the Gatey with my main battery here, and take a shot. Looks like he's starting to turn out to his left, however, and we see that the Farragut launches Torps. So, okay, hoping for the best here. We get some decent damage there against the Gatey, but it would have been better if, obviously, if he'd just been outright killed. And the Nelson takes 1 Torp. At that range, very disappointing. And so, yeah, we take a shot against the Gatey. The Farragut dies. Nelson's still alive. And we're at 200,000 damage. Got some A fire going on the Nelson, and he's going to start moving towards C. And at this point, it's do or die time. So we're going to go head-to-head against a Gneisenau here, and I actually hit Control X to my port side to bring the turrets over there. I know I'm going to take some damage one way or another. It's just a matter of where his torps are, and it looks like that is going to be damn close, but luckily we managed to avoid that. Now I'm trying to play the strong game here. No matter what, I cannot let him get his starboard side to me so he can launch his other torps. So this is a very interesting position when typically when you fire your torpedoes first in a German battleship engagement with the torp-capable ships, you're on the weaker end of it. If the torps miss, you're most likely fucked. So I managed to get the 3 torp hits there. We bring his 50,000 health down to just about nothing, and I was hoping that would have killed him, but 5,700 damage, and then followed up with the other turret to kill him off. So we have a high amount of damage, and I didn't know it at this time, but it's actually the world record. All 4 servers. The problem is this. All those shots got eaten up. Yeah. That really messed things up for me. And then I'm going to make a personal mistake here in a moment, but you'll see that as it happens. So I have HE loaded. He's in a good position here. He's you got to remember, the Nelson has 16-inch guns. That's no joke, regardless of what ship you're playing against, or playing with, I should say. So he's got the firepower advantage. I've got the reload advantage, and I had the health advantage as well, but obviously that means nothing when he's firing HE and I'm trying to do the same to him. So we get minimal damage here, 3168. I'm switching to AP. That's a problem. And the Nelson has practically no fucking armor on the ship. And, I've citadeled this thing with some funny ships so far, but 4 bounces is ridiculous. I know that was a little too far forward, but 4 bounces, man. Damn. You gotta be kidding me. And if you take a look at the timer, I just get on the cap in time to get 1 more salvo off, and maybe this will do it, but it won't. And if I just had that first salvo actually clear the mountain, this would have been a win with the worldwide record damage of 273,587 for the Scharnhorst. God damn it, man. There's so many little things that could have changed that match. Just, God, that's brutal. played it well, and there were some good moments there from, some other aspects of it, as far as like even my team, they did a good job of eventually some of them being aggressive and pushing, and the enemy team played it well as well in some respects. The Nelson at the end especially, but again, that would have been a victory if either that first HE salvo landed and actually cleared the mountain, or if I didn't use the AP. I have no doubts in my mind that that would have been a victory, and damn, that would have been absolutely legendary. I still think it was. It was a hell of a game, and it's those types of matches that keep me playing this game. And then we have matches like this one. So again, I worked up the flank because nobody's there, and finally, a couple cruisers come around, and so on and so forth, blah blah blah. Engage a few of them, get a kill, and finish off that Scharnhorst. He had literally just put out his fire like 2 seconds ago, and thought he was probably getting away until I fired. But so my team pushed right and then through our cap, and then came back through our cap, and is now wandering around doing nothing. Like, I don't know why we have a Colorado up there on the flank, but he's getting shit on by the enemy carriers. And there's a Mayhan over here, and I launched the torps ahead of time just to try to, well, if I'm lucky enough, I'll hit him. If I'm not lucky, then he'll see the torps, he'll react to him, and he ended up beaching, so it all worked out just fine. Now I can fully engage this enemy Scharnhorst. And again, you're going to see the same thing as... No, this kind of sucks, all bounces, but you're going to see the same thing as the Gneisenau from last match, where this is a situation where like the enemy player knows what's going to be happening here, but they launched the torps too early. Don't get me wrong, it's a huge gamble to wait till you're at this point to launch torps against another, Tirpitz or Scharnhorst or Gneisenau, but it's pretty important, and you just want to ensure that you're going to get those torpits, because you can't guarantee that, one, his torps, if he launches them early, aren't going to nuke you right off the bat, or if you're going to be able to swing around and get torps again from the other side off against them. So I'm expecting the October Revolution to pull a little bit to his left, since I'm obviously in the torp dropping pattern, and that's exactly what he does. The only thing that matters here, obviously, is controlling him, slowing him down, and making sure his turrets are too slow to engage me at this range, which is a huge advantage of a ship like the Scharnhorst against especially the lower tier ships, where they have these really slow turret traverse qualities that you can exploit. And that's what makes the Scharnhorst so damn good at close range, on top of the torps, on top of the armor, on top of the reload, and the secondaries. So we got an awesome quad sit there against the Ryujo. I didn't expect that, and you can see these secondaries going batshit crazy thanks to Adrenaline Rush, and we launch the HE salvo and finish off the enemy Ryujo. At this point, I'm expecting the Texas to really start unloading on me, and the Saipan to throw planes at me as well, but it's just the last things going on here with the final drops from the Ryujo. Now, I thought I was going to be able to have enough speed to be able to cut through this, and I almost do. So normally I would have turned right and not left there, but it actually worked out better, because if I turned right, I would have been a hell of a lot closer to the Mayhan, and I don't know... I mean, of course I would have loved to engage the Mayhan and knock him out with my secondaries or my main battery, but I also don't know about his torps, if they're in the water or anything, because our carrier, is not going to go ahead and throw his planes over here and try to keep the guy spotted. In fact, we don't get the Mayhan spotted again, as I get a double fire salvo there against the Texas, and unfortunately that ends up being another loss. There's a theme here. Yeah, so from a team play perspective, that's the epitome of how not to play. It's standard battle, which I've been getting a lot lately. They're on your cap, engage them. Nothing else matters. You don't know if you're going to be able to succeed in defending the cap or anything. Just help the ships out that are going back to defend. And check this out. Secondary detonation. Sorry, Omaha. That's pretty shitty. So, yeah. Don't play like the team did that last match. That is just a horrible way to play. The carriers didn't spot the destroyers. Well, the carrier at the end did not spot the enemy destroyer, which could have helped us out immensely. The enemy Texas managed to take out, I think it was our New York, as Podboyski comes back through the channel here. He abandoned the Omaha earlier, poor guy. And we're just going to throw these torps off to prevent him from going off to my left, his right, and possibly getting away. And so he can't launch torps at me, really, not at this angle, not with the fact that I'm going forward like this. So we just let the secondaries do the work. Might as well get another CQB out of it. But there's the Gremiashi that's over here too. I warned the Koenig about it time and time again. He decided to go ahead and just eat shit. We have an Emil Bertin that's trying to engage the Nuremberg. He does a horrible job of it, decides to go straight torpedo boat, and that doesn't work out very well for him. Podvoisky and Fujin are back here, and they're helping me out and trying to defend the cap. We have guys running off the one line doing fuck all, and it's, you know, same old story, basically. I turned off my secondaries here to maintain my concealment, and throwing down torps, seeing if we can catch this Gneisenau by surprise. I'm also not staying in the smoke. I'm speeding up because I do want to get my guns on them and get my secondaries working and try to help my destroyers, if they get spotted again, to stay alive as long as possible. So we come out of the smoke, hit P to activate our secondaries again. The Gremiashi is spotted. Those guys are going to try to do some work against him. We get our main battery off against the Gneisenau, and it did nothing but yay for the fires. So his torps were an emergency, like the oh shit torps. I don't think he really realized I was there until like a moment later, like after I fired and all that stuff. So anyways, Nuremberg is still over there on my left flank. We have the Gremiashi over here, and he's finally down. Awesome. So that's good. And it's not so good, because now we have no spotting, as our Podvoisky died. So there's a Leander here, and I'm getting spotted by the Nuremberg. I have no idea where these shots are going to be coming from, or, you know, what's going to happen with the Gneisenau when he comes around. So I just decided to dump torps, and then we see the Nuremberg again, so we switch our secondaries over to the Gneisenau. Our torps ended up just a bit short, but it was damn close. As far as the guess is concerned, that would have been glorious if we actually... Oops, hiccups. If we actually hit him with that. So again, damage that I probably should be able to better inflict upon this Nuremberg here. I've shot at him at least at this point, I think it must have been like 8 or 9 salvos at this point. It's fucking ridiculous. This guy would not take damage. I could not hit him at all. And I did HE salvos that did no damage at all. You know, knock out a module, big deal. Like, who cares about that? And that looks like a nice kill. Nope. But the secondaries, yeah, thanks. They finish up the work. So our torps that we launch from our port side back against the Gneisenau, we get 2 hits. That's great. That ends up bringing this fight into a much more manageable position. We're still on our cap, still defending. We have what remains of our team over at theirs. And let's see, at this point, I'm just trying to make sure that I can stay alive long enough to give our team the fighting chance here in case anything goes horribly wrong. So we fire HE at the Gneisenau. We managed to get a fire against him there, and that turns out to be just enough as we switch back to AP, and we're still... actually, we switch our secondaries over to the Leander here, because that ship has horrible armor, and these secondaries can and will do damage every time they hit. Well, maybe, if they actually hit. So we're setting up a sweet-ass double strike here, except that we're not, because the Scharnhorst. But I will take a very, very well-defended cap over a loss. So... high five to the destroyers that helped me out there, and hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sure it'll generate some discussion, but thank you for watching today, guys. You can't win them all, but maybe you can at least make a show of it, right? But thank you for watching. I'll see you back here next time, and take care.